Mark, thank you very much for joining me on the show this afternoon. Very, very glad to have you on. I know all about your music, as despite me only being 19, I've obviously followed my dad's love for all of the music from that era, so I know your songs and everything, so it's really good to have you on to chat. But how are you doing?
Very well, thank you for asking. Very well. Just got back off of a month-long UK and Ireland tour, and feel fine, feel great, feel energised.
Yeah, that's good to know, because sometimes artists are usually, quite tired after tours and everything. A 15-day tour over the last month, but how's it been getting back on the road?
Thoroughly enjoyable, and it's our biggest tour this year, and it's our biggest tour for at least another year. So we were all really looking forward to this one. It's the first time since 2010 we've had new material to share, and I think that's kind of put some fuel in our jets, if you know what I mean. Having this new energy, this new, sense of moving forward.
Do you think that's kind of being inspired then by the new songs and the new music that you've released?
Yes, I do. I think it's directly sort of motivated by all of that. The fact that, the fact that we've got new things to share. It's surprising. It's been a long time since we've had that feeling collectively.
So the new EP that has come out, the Drive Thru EP, only came out last month, beginning of October. Can you tell me all about it, really, and where it came from, how the idea was born, and how you guys as a band really just decided that it was the right time to make some new stuff? I know you said it was the first bit of new material that you'd released since 2010.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we were discussing as far back as 2019 the possibility of recording some new material, and then of course we had the coronavirus and lockdown hit us, and that put the skids on things, and then it took us a while to get some momentum going again. And I think what really launched that was when we for the last few years we've been rehearsing at this studio in London, which we really enjoyed. Late last year we changed to a new base, which is like a house, somebody's house rather than a studio, and it's in Surrey. It's in a lovely bit of the countryside, peace and quiet and all that sort of thing. So the direct opposite of the environment we've been working in. And I think that was kind of a catalyst again for us to start creating. And so it was the 1st of January this year, the first day of the year, we got straight back into the studio, and within 3 days we had 4 new songs up and running, and that's the fastest we've ever worked in our entire career, and the most productive we've ever been in our entire career. So I think that sort of newfound thrust has kind of driven us forward throughout 2024 into all the shows we played, and going in and out of the studios really kept us, tight and focused.
Sometimes that's it, isn't it? You just need that thing to give you a little bit more motivation, and it seems like once you got on with it, it's happened really quickly and the songs have developed, and then you've managed to get them out in quite a short space of time.
For the first EP, like I say, we didn't start writing them until it was January when we began writing and demoing, and to have them all out in October, it feels quick for us, and there's a new batch already finished, and I think we're going to continue this way of working in these small batches, not rather than just for this set of EPs. Once these EPs are done, we'll keep going, because it's like I say, we seem to have found some momentum.
So you're kind of on a pretty consistent track then, by the way it sounds now.
Yes, we certainly are.
The EP is great. I love some of the tracks. The self-titled track, Drive Thru, probably being my favourite, but we've also got Madeline and Billy Balfour on there as well. So is there anything you can tell me about the songs, anything they're about, where they came from?
Well, the thing is, I don't like to unwrap them too much, because that's kind of the listening experience, isn't it? It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, I've always thought it's strange. You make the songs, and there's something to say in the song, and then when you're asked to talk about the song, it feels like the song is the talking. Do you know what I mean? The song itself is, it's like I can thematically. It's like well, there are 3 different songs thematically. One's concerned with a sense of a new ground, moving forward. One's concerned with, I guess, a sense of the opposite of being frozen, of being what's the word, atrophied, not knowing which way to turn. And one is a a song about someone who's completely unlovable.
I think you're right, though, in terms of, like, you don't want to unwrap them too much, because I think one thing I like when I listen to songs is that they're sometimes open to interpretation, and people might interpret them differently when they're listening to it to what somebody else might.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, I always try to write my songs with a certain amount of ambiguity for that reason, so that people can bring their own meaning and their own imagery to it, because it's, you know, once it's written and once it's shared, it belongs to the audience. And although these songs are sort of autobiographical to a degree, they're not like diary entries. I don't want to. I find that a little overwhelming sometimes when it's too much detail. There's too much specific. It's too specific.
Yeah, I can say that definitely, and I think it's a great thing the way you do there. So I like it a lot, and we will be sure to play a couple of the tracks next. But of course, you've had this great EP out recently. You've been on tour, but Expecting to Fly is in a couple of years' time. In 2026, it will be 30 years old. So as a band, and the longevity of your career, what is it that kind of keeps you going for so long?
Well, I know it sounds kind of corny, but it really is. I do think it's based on the core friendships we have within the group, and with the people we work with, the crew that we have, and the people that we've found ourselves surrounded by at this, in the last few years. Our management, our road crew, our producer. We're all very close. We're all good friends. It's all very easy breezy. It's kind of like a family, because it's a small setup.
I bet that is something that does keep you going, obviously, that friendship and that tightness, because you want that, because there's so many bands out there that they're at each other's throats all the time, and it's not healthy, and that's probably why they haven't lasted long, or for whatever reason. But I bet that is the main thing, because I think friendship is very important, I can imagine, in a band.
Well, yeah, and also I do think it's key. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know how things work out in other groups. So everyone's got their own little way of muddling through all this. But we've always made sure as well, that since the very beginning, that money's never going to be an issue with us. Everyone is paid the same. No one gets paid any different from the Bluetones to anybody else. It's like a socialist communist setup. It's one of those things, because the last thing you want to talk about and fall out about as friends is something as ridiculous as money. So right from the very beginning, that's in our DNA,
Especially when you've kind of got that friendship as well, and you don't want to fall out over something silly like that.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. I think it clouds things.
Yeah, definitely. But when you look back now, and you've got songs like Slight Return, Blue Tonic, Cut Some Rug, do you still enjoy playing them as much now as you did back then?
Well, yeah, I do. We do, because it's not as if we play them to ourselves. Every time we play them, there's an audience there, and there's an audience that really want to hear them. So it's like there's a two-way exchange of energy, and and. You know what I mean? It's like we don't. It's not as if we get a kick out of rehearsing those songs, in the same way you get a kick out of rehearsing new songs. So you get a kick out of playing them to the people that want to hear them. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah. I bet it almost kind of refreshes the set a little bit more when you've got these new songs, and then you can mix them in with the older ones and the hits that people know, and kind of have a balanced set from there on.
Well, it does. It does. I think it sharpens the mind, because in a way, when you're playing the new songs, you're focusing on them in a different way when you're playing them, because they're not as ingrained as the older material, which, as you mentioned, we've been playing for a long time. So and there's a lot of what's the word there, muscle memory. And that sort of thing. But so yeah, it does invigorate the whole show.
Definitely, I can imagine. But I just wanted to ask you again, we're talking about these old hits and everything, how do you kind of look back and reflect on that Britpop era now?
Well, to be honest, I don't really think about it that much at all. I get reminded of it, of course, and it's I just see. It depends what you mean. If you mean in regard to myself, in regard to the group, I just see us as younger men. When you see footage of yourself and photographs of yourself and whatnot, and that's something that's kind of peculiar because it's not like there's not that many of us of my generation anyway who have so much of their young life on record, either on video. So you do feel sort of a mixture of feelings. You feel kind of estranged from and protective of that young man that I see on the screen. So as far as like Britpop as a whole goes, I mean, it's like it's a construct of memories, other people's memories, because no one that's, I don't think, associated with what is now collectively called Britpop thinks of themselves as being part of a collective. When you were doing it at the time, you were just doing our own thing. It was other people that put it all together and put a name on it. And what can you do? What can you do?
Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it? But it does kind of, like, when I look at it, it does kind of feel like it's becoming very popular again now, and people are going back to these songs, like younger people as well. Like, you look, I know the obvious thing is Oasis got back together. You've had reunions like Blur and Pulp. We were talking about Shed 7, nearly got a sold out tour, and it feels like more and more people are more young people are going back and discovering all of this music now.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, there does seem to be. But I think these things tend to go in cycles, and there's a certain amount of nostalgia mixed up with the fact that these songs are great songs. There's some great songs from that era, and they're still great songs. They still give people and myself, pleasure. So. Oh, I don't know. It's all very hard to unpick, especially when you're sort of associated with it, because you're just trying to keep your head down and get on with your own thing.
Yeah, I've heard that bands who potentially, I mean, like Suede are obviously a band that a lot of people think of as Britpop, but then you've got Brett Anderson saying that they were never part of that and everything, and that hits it. But I guess people are going to say different things. But yeah, before I let you go again, Mark, I just wanted to, I know you might not want to say too much, but you've just got back off a tour, you've had an EP out. Are you looking to carry on and do some more in 2025?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. The second EP is already finished and going off to be manufactured. We start work on the third EP very early next year, which will probably come out in the summer. And yes, we intend to just keep going forward like this, because it seems like lots more musical ideas are bubbling to the surface, and much more than we can fill 3 EPs with.
Well, it sounds like there's lots of exciting stuff planned, and hopefully we can chat again when new music comes. But I'd like to say a big thank you to you again, Mark. It's been great chatting with you today.
You too, Baker. My pleasure.